So yeah, my name is Ancuța Fedorca. I'm based in Brașov, Romania, at the National Institute for Research and Development in Forestry, Marin Dălcea. I am also the head of the Wildlife Molecular Genetic Laboratory under this institute for the last almost 20 years. I was a pioneer in the field, and now I am coordinating a team of 25 people at the Research Institute. And as Elena said, I'm working at international stage, but also at national stage, trying to solve the genetic monitoring problems and also to transfer our results into species management. Today, I will present you cost action GENOA. It's called GENOA because it's coming from the genetic nature, observation, and action. And I am the chair of the action that recently started in October last year. We are still into the introductory phase, so lots of things going on in the beginning of the project. And many things will happen for the next 4 years. In the left side, you have a picture with the MC Management Committee that it was present in Brussels for the opening of the project. And I can tell you from now that it's a fantastic community working together. And we are pleased that we are continuing also a cost action that was closed recently. And probably most of you know about it. It was called GBike. And this is a continuation of GBike. So we started with an aim, and the aim of GENOA is to help to implement genetic diversity indicators into nature monitoring. Of course, we all fight for the same cause, and we understand that protecting genetic diversity is very important for providing species with the ability to adapt to change. What you see the map on the right side is the map of the coast countries that are into this schematization of the European funds. And with the green ones are those ones that they are targeted to be more involved, those ones which are inclusive targeted countries. And with the purple color are those coast countries that they are already well established and they will need to attune their force to help those ones more into green, because we want, of course, to promote inclusivity. We want to be open. We want to ensure that it's equal representation from all of them. And we want to increase the European capacity to be able to report in each of the countries. Of course, as you also face, and we also face, and the community, the entire community is facing, we started with some challenges. And the main challenge was that we want to broad uptake and use the genetic diversity for species assessment. And we realized that we need to understand more the policy landscape. And more than that, we need to provide direct support and capacity to those nations and other stakeholders to be able to report on the status of genetic diversity. It is a direction that needs to be strengthened by improving the connections. And those connections are between conservation scientists and policy, but not only. We need to follow overall a co-creation process because we want to uptake the genetic diversity in nation level to be able to report to the CBD, of course, to cover the European needs and to develop further policies that could be more adapted into practice transfer. We've noticed, and we all know, that we need a bit of standardization and systematic collection and storage of demographic, geographic, and DNA data to calculate the genetic diversity indicator in an efficient way. And this is a lack, and we will work into this direction also by standardization and building harmonized procedures which are followed, of course, by analytical tools and guidance for genetic diversity in Europe. But not only at European level, we want also to overall improve the conservation policy requirements. Of course, we will try to improve the uptake of genetic diversity into the management plan of species, and we will focus both in situ and ex situ, but also in biodiversity-rich areas. This is currently lacking, and this needs a lot of improvement in terms of practicalities. We want to advance the genes to ecosystem framework knowledge by decoding the link between genetic diversity at the level of species populations, of course, with the genetic diversity and functioning of the associated species. And this is an entire working group focusing on this direction. And I will present you further a bit how we are divided into the working groups. What we want here, and I saw already from what you were discussing that you are working into the same direction. We want to engage actively with stakeholders because we want to gain a better understanding of the barriers to communication. And also, in the same time, we will work to improve the communication modes because we want to understand them better and to be able to be more practical and to be able to reach them easily. We want to, of course, understand and to work more in making our work more understandable to those who are non-scientists and policy, because they don't always concur with what we are saying. And we want to drive our outputs to be more accessible. And we will fight, and it is a very interesting direction in our cost action that will deal with the engagement of youth and other communities that they are not yet very active, and we need to activate them for our future to be secured. Here in GENOA, we will also work a lot into integration, communication, and collaboration between the conservation genetic community and other parts of the biodiversity monitoring community. And I think we have a duty to work together into this sense and to try find, as I was saying, similarities, complementarities, and to stay close to each other and even to be members of our network and to work together in our working groups. I think it's very important to share our knowledge and to improve our common capacity. And of course, we want to integrate the biodiversity networks. We want to be more welcoming, to be more inclusive, and we will open the doors of communication and engaging in our cost action. Those are, in big words, the challenges that actually created GENOA. After, of course, targeting those, we have specific objectives. And as each cost action is structured to have two types of objectives. So the first part is the research coordination objectives. And with these research coordination objectives, we will focus on assessing, integrating, and promoting the understanding of genetic diversity metrics with the main aim to enhance their applicability. And we want to apply them in diverse contexts and in countries that they don't have capacity to generate hubs of knowledge and to be able to help those stakeholders at regional and national level. And we do have our capacity building objectives where we will, of course, generate knowledge, we will generate exchange, capacity, and the development of a workforce that will be adapted for both policy and science. Just one moment. Our research coordination objectives are focused on different directions. A first direction is to evaluate the correlation and complementarity of genetic diversity monitoring in order to enhance integration at three main targets. We are targeting the scales, we will look for technology, and in the same time for the capacity, because we would like to build an overall system. Second of all, the research coordination objectives will focus on assessing how genetic and genomic data from focal species can inform biodiversity and ecosystem management. Another objective will coordinate closely the efforts to improve the adoption of methods and standard operational procedures to be able to easily calculate and report on genetic diversity indicators. And of course, we would like to engage with the stakeholders to understand genetic diversity concepts and identify those barriers to their uptake, and to identify ways on how to integrate genetic diversity indicators into national, regional, and international policies. Our capacity building objectives are diverse, and they will be built in different regional and countries' contexts. We are aiming to provide knowledge exchange and capacity building efforts for supporting genetic diversity assessment for conservation problems. We want to use both genetics and genomic technologies that are tailored to various stakeholder needs. And for this, we will have first to understand their needs to be able to work with them. We want to provide knowledge share, including the necessary advice, support, and collaboration among countries, because we would like to successfully deploy the genetic diversity at national, but not only, transboundary, and at EU and international reporting to be able to fill in the report that the countries will have to deliver. Other capacity building objectives are focusing on providing innovative opportunities for knowledge sharing, because we want to raise awareness about the value and importance of genetic diversity in the key stakeholder groups and beyond. It is very interesting how this came up in our cost action, but it will be, from my point of view, a very important point that we will foster regional genetic knowledge hubs, and we will serve as a stakeholder platform for transnational mutual experiences, including those countries that their capacity needs to be improved and their active participation needs to be achieved. And there are those countries in green that I was showing you in the beginning of the presentation. And these knowledge hubs will help them in filling the national reports and to, of course, to build further policy. We would like to develop a transdisciplinary workforce, of course, trained in policy and science. And with this, I will invite you to be part of the young professional group, because we want to be inclusive, we want to boost our capacity. And if you are a young researcher, which means that you are less than 40, and you are active and you want to be involved in understanding the community and in boosting the capacity of the young researchers, you are more than welcome to join our group, that it will be formed between the 5 working groups. It's a standalone group that will work with the young professionals. And I talked until now about the working groups. Our working groups are now close to 160 and 56 members across various countries and beyond Europe. So it's not limited to Europe. Anyone could apply to become a working group member. There are 5 working groups. In there were considered that the first one should work with the policy itself. So the first working group will work on informing and supporting emerging and further policy. And they will try to understand what is going on, what is needed, and they will work into informing this. The working group number 2 will focus on indicators, and the scientific team will try to build capacity needed for successful implementation of genetic diversity indicators through various activities like training schools, workshops, and other dedicated activities, and hackathons and other dedicated activities to work with the members. The working group 3, it's dedicated to understand the concept from genes to ecosystem, and they will work in improving the conservation management of species and ecosystem, of course, using the genetic diversity knowledge. Working group 4 will deal with engagement and the use of multidisciplinary approaches to bridge the communication divide, and of course to increase the public awareness about the relevance of genetic diversity. Elena here is the coordinator of the working group number 4, and she will always help into this sense. She can offer you more details. Working group number 5 will deal with the communication and collaboration, and we will expand the networking in the biodiversity monitoring community beyond, between our members, between different networks, and we will try to see how can we improve the communication itself and how can we use a more accessible language to be able to reach our targets, in the end, stakeholders, policymakers, between us, and to be able to breach this communication. And now I will move to the next slide. We are now currently 36 countries that they are members of the management committee. A cost action is consisting of working group members and management committee members, which are country representative. I think we do have a very nice coverage in terms of cost action, and the number are increasing, and we are targeting members that they are not yet part of the MC. But more than that, we are targeting working group members willing to work in those 5 working groups together with our working group coordinators to achieve the technicalities of the cost action. Just to briefly introduce you what can be founded within a cost action. A cost action, it's a networking project. It funds different networking activities. You can be part of different events. So there could be meetings, that could be workshops, that could be training schools with a defined thematic, and you can take the advantage of boosting your capacity and working together with other scientists. We do have mobility of researchers and innovators opportunities, like short-term scientific missions or even virtual mobilities to achieve some of the tasks defined into the cost action. You do have the opportunity to present your work that is done under GENOA at conferences, even if there are those dedicated to the inclusiveness targeted countries or to other dissemination conferences. There are many, many opportunities of publishing together and on finding common topics to work with. Even though we are in the beginning of a cost action, I think we are already present quite a lot, starting with the international stage. We've participated at COP16 and we were part of the discussions, and we were disseminating and we were offering support for the next 4 years to come to the stakeholders, policymakers, and other institutions that they were present there. Each of the working group held its kickoff meeting, and each group could be contacted, but you can become member and they can help you with all the procedures. But the things are started rolling, and they are already organizing events and work for the next 4 years. The first workshop will be held in late April in Brașov, Romania. We will be together and we will work to build most of the plans for the next years to come. We will have, as I was saying, different opportunities, and they are currently prepared for the short-term scientific missions and conference calls. And we will have even a training school in the summer. And here is a brilliant team that participated in the COP16 and different dissemination materials that they were presented there, and they were very successful in terms of reaching the stakeholders. And with this is the team that I presented you in the beginning with the picture made in Brussels when we had our kickoff. And thank you very much for your attention and for having here. And I really hope we will collaborate more closer, and our doors are open to work together for the next 4 years. Thank you very much.